What the fuck?
Have I changed things? Still I fear the answer's no. In this fucked up world in which I feel I stand alone. All this hate that I feel for you, my one true enemy, once was blind, but now I see. It makes me question why do we choose to live this way? I try to free my mind from what's not meant to be. It makes me question why.
To say the latest Thief game's development has been controversial is probably the understatement of the century. Many complaints have come across this game even prior to it being released from hardcore fans and new fans alike. Now that the game's released, now that I've actually played it, I have officially decided that none of these complaints exist. None. They are all mysterious, made-up things that do not exist. I will be the first to admit that Thief probably isn't for everyone, but that's only because of its nature as a game and not because there's anything fundamentally wrong with it. There's some people who just don't like stealth games. Okay, straight up. And Thief is a hardcore, straight up stealth game that does not pull its punches when it comes to punishing you for not being stealthy, okay? It is. And if you're not into that, then you're not gonna like it. Very simple. But when you have review sites saying that this is the same as this, usually I don't get mad at reviewing sites. In fact, I've defended them more often than not because some people were really hard on them. But this is one time where we're just no, just you're wrong. You're like, there is so much wrong in you. You know, it's not. I'm not even mad about them giving Thief a 6. That's not actually the issue at all to me. To be honest, like I don't think it deserves a 6. I think it's at least an 8. But you know, 6 is slightly above average technically on the scale, so 6 seems reasonable if you didn't like the game. Okay, fine, but you gave Rambo, the video game. Have you seen? You gave this a 6. What? Get out now! You're fired. You're fired. You are out. Of a job. You do not know how to review games. You do not know what makes a bad. Get out of my sight now. Out of here. Go. Getting back to Thief. I really like this game a lot, actually. And it's another one of those situations where it's like with DMC, where I've heard all these horrible things from people, like, it's the worst thing ever, and then I play it, and then it's fucking awesome, and I'm like, what is wrong with everyone around me? Is there something wrong with me? Am I just weird, or are you all just idiots? I can't tell anymore. I don't actually think you're idiots. Please don't take that seriously. It was a joke, okay? Joke. Don't dislike. Not yet. I'm not done. You haven't finished the review yet. Don't hit that button yet. You know, rather than actually complaining about other people complaining, maybe I should just tell you why I think the game is so good. Granted, initially I'm probably a bit biased going in because this sort of is a game for me, and I mean that in the least selfish of ways, if that makes any sense. See, I've played Dungeons and Dragons before. Quite often, in fact. I want you to take a wild guess as to what class I tend to play in role-playing games like D&D. I'll give you a hint. It involves being a thief. Literally. I play a rogue all the time. Every time. It doesn't matter what I'm in. If I can play a rogue, I'm a rogue. Whether it's Dragon Age, whether it's D&D, whether it's Baldur's Gate, rogue. All the way, all the time. I don't care. That's just how I am. I blame you for this, by the way. Why'd you have to be such a good character? God damn it. My point is that this is the exact kind of game that I could get really into, because that's what you're doing. You're a thief. I mean, it is the most literal of simulations as to what, you know, being a thief should be like in a way, in a manner. You know, there's some supernatural elements, yes, but still, it's a first-person thieving game. I mean, that's what you do, and it works really well. You know, I've heard complaints about the controls, and I don't really understand them, because I don't feel that there's anything wrong with the controls, fundamentally. The controls are different than most other games you might be used to, yes, and I will admit they took a little getting used to, but once that you accomplish this, which doesn't take that long, you're fine. There's no problem at all. The only complaint I will hazard against the controls is that it's one little thing, and it's because it's very picky when it comes to what constitutes a button press and what constitutes a button hold. Because the X button does quite a lot in this game. I'm playing the 1 version. This would be the square button in the PS4 version of the game. Sometimes it wants you just to press the X button once, and sometimes it wants you to hold it down. The problem is that those are very mutually exclusive, and the game is very, very picky as to what constitutes which one, and one does not take the place of the other. When it wants you to hold it down, it obviously wants you to hold it, which makes sense. However, when it wants you to tap, you can't hold it down. If you hold it down, it won't work. You have to tap the button. It's waiting for the press and release. And that takes a bit of getting used to. It actually threw me for a loop at first once I realized what the game wanted me to do. Granted, once you realize that's what it wants, it's fine. As for everything else, the game feels a little bit like Deus Ex, but not really like Deus Ex, if that makes any sense. They definitely channeled a lot of the stuff they learned from making that game, but they also threw in a little bit of Mirror's Edge in the way the platforming works. Not really, like, not the same exactly, but it works in a similar manner, I guess is the best way to put it. In fact, that's another complaint I have. Sometimes when you're platforming, you'll switch to third person so you can see yourself climb, which is admittedly cool and works for what it is, but I just feel like I would rather play these bits still in first person, like everything else. Why am I magically third person now for this? Like if you're gonna do a first person thieving game, go all the way with it. You know what I mean? And I know I've already leveled 2 complaints against the game, and you might be saying, I thought you liked this. I do. Most of these complaints are relatively minor stuff, which is why the unanimous hatred of this game is making me so mad. It's not a bad game at all. One of the things I like about this game is the atmosphere. The visual presentation is so good. The environment, the immersive nature of the game, the shadow effects are so awesome and work perfectly for what the game is. Everything you see is incredibly detailed, and it all looks so gorgeous, like seriously. It's such a bleak atmosphere, but for what they were going for, it's perfect. The music's actually really good. It's just not what I expected at all. Sometimes it actually gets very dubsteppy. And am I the only one here who actually doesn't mind Sherlock at all? Really? Yes? Only me? Okay. Well, there's that. And the voice acting is actually really good, overall, which is funny, because people were complaining that Garrett's voice actor wasn't going to be the old one, which, as someone who's been a part of the Sonic series for years, I learned a long time ago what a stupid complaint that is. I'm just saying. But yeah, sound, no problems actually. But a combination effect. There's this one thing that happened occasionally, and it was in the beginning of the game, so it sort of I think might have put people off to the rest, because I never saw it happen again past these 2 points. But there were 2 times during the game where people would be talking, but the sound somehow got desynced from their lips, and I don't know how that happened. And then it like caught up later, and then fixed itself. It was the strangest thing. And it only happened twice, early on, which is probably the worst time for that to happen, granted. But, you know, again, it's a minor thing that can be easily rectified. It's not like it, you know, ruined the entire experience, but it is something that did happen to me. Now, I've been being very evasive about the core game mechanics, and I told you what the game is about, but I never really told you what the game is about. Alright. So it's a stealth game, and it basically revolves around 3 basic ideas of how to be stealthy. One is to use your environment to your advantage. Another is to basically avoid all detection all the time. The other is to just knock out the guards and walk past them that way. It depends how you want to do it. There's no sort of assassinations because Garrett is non-killing. He doesn't like killing people. That's a early character trait that you find out pretty quick. So you're not going to get any silent assassinations in this game, unfortunately, if that's what you were going for. But personally, I don't like doing that. I prefer just sneaking past guards. That's sort of my style. And it works really well in this game. There's a system called swooping, which basically lets you dash forward in between shadows. And the idea is to use the light to your advantage and basically avoid it at all costs. Always stay in the shadows because you're not going to be nearly as easily detected in the shadows when compared to the light, for obvious reasons. There's also a wealth of different tools you can use, most of which you do have to buy at a shop, in fairness, but they all change how the missions progress. They all give you different options for like disabling traps, or going through hidden grates with the use of a wrench, or things of that nature. Picking locks is a very consistent thing you do, and the idea is to steal anything of value, actually. That's how you get your money in this game, in order to buy new stuff, by stealing things, because, you're a thief. Beyond the main objective in the story of the game, which is a really good story, I should stress, you get a bunch of side quests that involve just stealing odds at ends. There's a wealth of content in the game that people don't seem to be mentioning because the main story is, granted, relatively short if you just blast through it, but the side content will keep you hooked for a while as long as you're into a game like this. Did I mention that you have to go into a haunted asylum in one of the missions? It's probably like the best mission, in fairness, like overall for what they were trying to do, but my god, this was like the worst thing you could possibly do to me, okay? Ghosts and me do not get along, okay? I don't like it. And when I approach a haunted asylum that is abandoned, from what I understand, and I'm walking around trying to find a way in, and I walk back around a corner to the door that was boarded up with nails to find it silently hanging open, that makes me not want to go in the building at all, okay? But it was a really good mission. You should at least play that far, because that mission was totally worth it. Another key thing I should probably mention about gameplay is just don't get into combat. Like, seriously, combat does work, and it's functional, but it's very, very blunt force. You can tell that was not their main focus, and honestly, you shouldn't be fighting at all. You can, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but this game was not built around a brute force method. You can't take on multiple guards at once. You just can't. You have to remember that the idea of the game is to avoid detection at all costs. You don't get into fights. And if you have to engage a guard, well, do it from the shadows and knock him out before he has a chance to react. And maybe that's where people are getting mixed up. They think, oh, I can just fight everybody or something, because you can't. And that's not what the game is about. For what the game was supposed to be, which is a stealth game. A true hardcore stealth game. That's what it is. Did I mention that there are customizable difficulty modes in this game? 'Cause that was the other thing. People were like, oh, you're gonna dumb down Thief. Thief isn't hardcore anymore. Well, now there's a customizable difficulty mode. Look at all these options. You can go in and change and make the game as hard or as easy as you want it to be. That is brilliant. That's exactly what the gaming needs nowadays. That way, everyone can have the kind of experience they want to have. You can make the game as challenging or as smooth as you need, as you want. It doesn't have to be hardcore all the time, but it doesn't have to be the easiest thing in the world. You can have it both ways with this system, and I love that. That's great. And yes, there are regular difficulty modes, which I play on normal. And even on normal, the game really isn't that easy, in case you were worried it wasn't going to be hardcore enough. So, shut up. Like, seriously, I hate you all. Not really, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Did I tell you that? You're awesome. Yeah. You should, subscribe after I said I hated you, and that before that I called you idiots. You're not gonna sub, are you? You're gonna dislike this. Sad face. But seriously, I really like this game, and the fact that it's been getting such harsh reviews, and the fact that people seem to think that it's like the worst thing in the world, is just ridiculous. It's a great game, it is. I really like it. But again, I do understand it may not be everyone's thing. If you're not into stealth games, just don't even play it, actually. You won't like it. Honestly, that's sort of, at the end of the day, if you don't like stealth games, don't. But if you do, and you are, still hesitant even after this review to drop $60 on it, well, play the demo. It has a demo on, every platform, I think. So, just play the demo and see what you think of it, and then decide whether it's worth the $60, or just wait for the price to drop. I think it's worth the $60 personally, but I can understand that that may not be something you agree with. But either way, I think this is a really good game, and I really enjoy it. So, I highly recommend it to anybody who's into stealth games like this. So with that, till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.